So if you suffer from some low back pain or get a lot of tension or tightness, or if you feel like your rib cage sort of sits a little distended or in front of you, the psoas release is sort of the perfect go-to exercise to help alleviate some of that. So I'm going to teach you how to build your psoas release because it takes some pillowing. So you're going to want to grab maybe some decorative couch pillows. The fluffier I find, the better. I'm going to grab 2 of these. And you're going to stair step them so that the one on bottom sits a little forward versus the one on top. You're also going to take, I have like a lumbar pillow here, and I'm going to put that on top. I happen to have a secondary lumbar pillow, and I'm going to put that on bottom. So it kind of looks like stair steps a little bit, right? I'm going to move this whole thing back. So you are going to lie down flat onto your back, so that your shoulders and your shoulder blades are on the low part of the pillows and your head is at the high part of the pillows. So when you lie down, you would actually want a little gap of space under your rib cage on purpose. It should be deliberately there. If it's a little bit flat, I would just say keep building your pillows up even higher until that's not the case. If you don't have pillows accessible and you're lightly touching down, that's fine too. You do want the backs of your hamstrings to be able to touch the floor relatively comfortably. And all you're going to do is lay here for, maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, as long as you can really hang out here, because this isn't a release exercise, not sort of a stretch exercise. And what I mean by that is you're not going to do anything. You're just going to lie down here, and with gravity and time, your tissues, because they're in this slack, hammocky position, are going to eventually let go and release. And that's what you want. You want the tissues to adapt to this sort of slack position, because chances are they're a little bit tight and high-strung, which can then cause that low back pain, the rib thrusting, and some other distortions in your torso. So, using your couch pillows, you just hang out here and breathe. It feels really nice. It's very supportive. And I'm going to show you using the half cylinder how you can take the psoas release and turn it into what's called an iliacus release, which are just the muscles that sit a little lower inside the pelvis. And so, if you tend to walk a little bit pitched forward, or you have a lot of hip flexor tension or tightness, sometimes the iliacus release is helpful and beneficial. I personally start with that first. So I'm going to grab my half cylinder. You're going to bend your knees and place your feet flat, and you're going to take the half cylinder round side down, and you're going to slip it underneath your bottom. You want it low towards your feet, but not so low that your whole back touches the ground. So I am deliberately tucked under, so now I'm making an even bigger hammock body position through my torso. My pubic bone is a little bit curled up and my hip bones are tilted down, and I have a little bit of a gap of space under my low back. And then it's the same concept. This is a release move, not a stretching exercise, where as I hang out here and breathe, because there's slack on my tissues, my muscles and tendons and tissues will eventually adapt to this shape and relax and release, and then my body will be a better organized sort of mechanism afterward. So same idea, you breathe and you hang. So you can hang out here for, again, 5 minutes, 15. I find that watching a TV show in this position, especially if the TV is sort of mounted high and you're down on the ground, it's sort of the ideal. Doing this from bed doesn't quite translate because usually the mattress is too squishy. So something to keep in mind. So from here, I'm going to remove my iliacus release and go back into my psoas release. And in a lot of ways, this is actually now easier, and I'm a little bit flatter on the table as a result. So for me, I do the iliacus release first, the psoas release second, hang out here, and then usually it's a nice release. So you can hang out here as long as you like. You can even pause the video. I'm going to show you how to do it with some more fancier props, utilizing a bolster, a yoga brick, and then same thing, still the half cylinder. So I'm going to move my pillows out of the way. I'm going to grab a bolster. It's sort of a medium-sized bolster. This is going to act as like what my pillows just were. I'm going to take the thicker of the yoga bricks. There's two that are typically on the market. There's a shorter one and there's sort of like a little bit of a thicker one. So I'm going to go with the thicker one because that's what my head typically needs. You could potentially do the lower one and maybe put a thin towel on top to make up the difference, but something to keep in mind. I'm going to put the brick a little bit above the edge because my shoulder blades are going to go on this top portion and my head is going to go up onto the brick. So I'm going to lie down very similar to what I just did a moment ago so that my bra line is pretty much right on the edge of the bolster. And my head is going to be bolstered by the brick, and then I'm going to straighten my legs all the way down. So because the bolster is a little firmer and it picks me up a little bit higher, I now am not touching down on the table. You might be able to see it. It's small, but it's there. I'm not touching down. But as my body relaxes, I may be able to let my wrists eventually relax down, which feels pretty great. So because I prefer to do the iliacus release first, you're going to bend your knees. You can take the half cylinder round side down, slip it under your pelvis. You may need to scooch everything down a notch. It just feels better that way. And again, I'm back in that hammocky shape or position. And just breathing. So now none of my back is touching down. And as you hang out here again, you're just letting the tissues release and let go. And again, this is one of those perfect positions to watch TV. You can read a book, you can be on your device, you can do whatever you need to do as long as you're lying down and hanging out and giving time for your tissues to release. And then after you've been in this position for a little while, same thing, you can remove the half cylinder and then go back into the regular psoas release with your legs extended. Again, you want your hamstrings to relatively be heavy. And it should, again, be a little bit easier. You may have to move up a notch. But again, my rib cage is a little bit closer down to the mat, just as a natural result of being here for some period of time. That's it. It's kind of like magic. It's also a nice sympathetic, parasympathetic sort of leveling out because the psoas is notorious for having a lot of emotional context to it. So I think when you put some slack on the psoas, if you're feeling very stressed out or amped up, it can just down-regulate you in a really nice, comforting way. And that's it. You don't have to breathe in a particular fashion. Just hang out here with gravity. That's it. It's wonderful.